Customer Edge live from Times Square in New York City at this year's CRM Evolution event. I'm Butch Stearns of the Pulse Network. Alongside is Brent Leary, co-host of this show from CRM Essentials. And joining us now is Esteban Kolsky from Thinkjar. And your socks walked into the room before you did today here, Esteban.
It's always that way. You get a different shade.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Yeah, you love this event, don't you, CRM Evolution?
I've been here for 6 years, and I love the event. I do.
What do you love about this event?
It's first of all, it's about content. We focus more than anything on the content. We try to bring practitioners and thought leaders and present the latest and the greatest in CRM.
Hi, my co-host Brent Leary is chomping at the bit to take a couple shots at you, so I'm going to let him go in a minute. I'm going to unleash
That's
you.
the second reason I love being here.
Oh, so there we go. This
Flattery
sets
will
the
get him
stage.
nowhere. I'm sorry.
Set up for us, though, your blog post this morning and your latest survey and research. This is an annual survey you've done for 3 years now that measures customer service usage, and as you say, one more time, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's a survey on what customer service professionals are thinking and doing, and you do it through Thinkjar, your
Yes,
company.
we
What's it
do.
all about?
So 3 years ago, I started doing this survey, trying to understand what's in the mind of customer service professionals. And like you said, it's the third year running. We got great adoption. First year, we got about 200 people. Last year, we got over 400. And we're aiming for about 600 this year, trying to increase it in a algorithmical, whatever math term it is, progression. But the idea is we want to understand what customer service professionals are doing and what they're thinking. A few of the things from last year that were very interesting. Social customer service started declining dramatically. Almost 50% decline year over year in favor of things like chat and email. I mean, antiquated, old-fashioned channels that actually deliver better value than social customer service. The value proposition of social and mobile was not understood by companies, where almost 2/3 of companies said there's no value to the customer in us doing social or mobile. This is not from marketing, this is from customer service people. You know, the ownership of customer service and loyalty and customer experience moved to operations these days. You know, all these things are for things that we're finding year after year. So I would welcome anybody who's watching to go to my blog, thinkjar.net, shameless plug, I have to do it. Take the survey if you're in customer service. We'd love to know what you're thinking.
So he is starting a revolution here because all the findings he's got from these surveys, Brent, go against every statistic you want to find out there about social and mobile.
Kind of interesting, and you actually took some of my questions away already, but that's okay.
Think on your feet, my
Yeah,
friend.
you gotta
No,
move with the
ask the
times, man.
questions, ask the
Yeah, well,
questions.
let's talk about why do you think that companies feel like there's really no value in social and mobile? You did that last year. Do you think it's going to be the same this year? Do you think they've actually learned something in the year to give them some sort of nugget that says, you know what, we really do start doing this kind of stuff?
So this is actually a great question because, yes, there is a little bit of glimmer of hope somewhere in there. But for the most part, 90% plus of organizations, they're still horrible at it. Like my iPhone autocorrect would say, ducking socks. Okay, so it's really, really bad.
We're talking about your socks? Is that
Yes,
what it is?
that's what it is. Ducking socks. So, yes, but I mean, it's what happens is, like, you know, still today, for the most part, over 45% of requests for service in social, they get ignored. They don't go anywhere. They don't get answered. The ones that get answered, 90% get escalated. From the ones that don't get escalated, 46 hours minimum for a resolution.
46 hours?
4 to 6, sorry.
Oh, 4 to 6, okay.
4 to 6 hours minimum in resolution. It improved. Last year it was 18 hours, so we're into 4 to 6, so we're doing much better. But the bottom line is, like, it's still easier to pick up the phone and get an answer than try to go through Twitter or Facebook and get it.
Do you think that's the case because companies, you remember when the companies first started going down the social route, started with marketing and promotion, they would hire an intern to do it. From a service perspective, do you think it's the tools? Do you think it's the company not putting the right people in place? Is it the process? What is it?
You know what? I have to give credit to the people that are doing it because they're really working everything they have to make it work. But it's part of the channel and partly the tools. I mean, by Twitter's own admission, there's not a single tool out there that cannot lose some part of the fire hose. 20%, at least 20% of the fire hose is lost. Doesn't mean it's, you know, the people tweeting about you, but it's 20% of the tweets. Hopefully they're all spam, they're bots. There's, like, you know, what, 60% of Twitter is, you know, habitated by bots. So we have a lot of things that are going that are not working. Facebook changes their API without noticing to anybody. So your Facebook app could be down for like 3 or 4 days in a row. Twitter has a maximum limit of 1,000 tweets per account. So, you know, I mean, what happens if 1,000 people, you know, 1,001 people complain? What happens to the 1 person after 1,000? These are all these are all tools and channel problems. They're not people. People do the best they can, and there's some great implementations that are delivering value to both customers. But still, when you go down to it, 90% of interactions get escalated. That's not customer service.
Esteban, why? We had Jim Dickey here earlier today from CSO Insights, and one of the points he made was that companies still today do not do a good job of assessing the problems that they have. Your survey points out that most people are not doing it well, but yet they don't think they're not doing it well, most of them, right? Why do companies have such a hard time assessing their weaknesses or their problems?
Well, so two things. First of all, nobody will say their child is ugly, right? Including me, by the way. Hi, guys. So nobody will say the child is ugly. It's like I worked 20 years setting up my customer service organization. It works, it delivers, it's efficient, it saves money, everything that I'm supposed to do.
But the world has changed.
But that's great, because actually I was listening earlier, you mentioned the revolution. I was listening to the segment you taped earlier, and we were talking about the revolution. But the world hasn't changed. That's the problem. The world hasn't changed from the company's perspective. It's still the same thing. You still have a customer that needs service, and you need to deliver service. That's why it's not a revolution. It's a paradigm shift. You need to change the way that you approach it, but you don't need to change what you do.
But do you think, I got to ask you this, do you think that the world hasn't changed, but customers have, and because of the tools that are out there, they're changing the way that they want to get things done, and they're seeming to have some kind of that's causing companies to change.
That's a very convoluted but good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for.
You just don't want to give him any credit at all.
No, that's a good way to put it. But I mean, what's happening is the world is the same. You buy a product from a company. That hasn't changed. You still don't make them in your house in spite of having 3D printers and whatever you want, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. As long as you buy a product from a company, you depend on the company for service. As long as you have, depend on the company for service, you have to, to deliver service as an organization. That hasn't changed.
But the expectation that customers have has changed dramatically, and isn't that causing companies to change?
It would if customers were to do something about it, which they're not. And that's the key. I mean, you see all this service. 86% of people are actually, going to abandon a provider because of bad service. How many actually have done it? Not that many. I still fly United. Hi, guys. I still rent from Hertz.
Did they break your guitar or something?
No, they didn't. I have bad experiences, but I still fly United. I still rent from Hertz because it's easier, because I have all my information. I do like 3 clicks and I get a ticket, I get a car, and I'm done.
But it hurts, the airline and rental cars, those industries, they're kind of hard to change in and change out. But other kind of industries, I think you're seeing more movement by customers, because there are alternatives out there.
Leading implementations of social customer service today are coming from airlines and hotels, by far. And these are not people that change. It's just that, it's not that it changed or it doesn't. It's not an airline, it's not a car rental service, it's not, my tailor, my cleaners, or whoever.
My barber.
Both our barbers have a pretty lame business, but it's not the barber. It's not that. It's just that, customers are demanding more, but they're not acting on their demands. And until they act on their demands, it's not going to be a revolution. What happened if during the French Revolution people asked for bread, and then they say, "Oh, it's 5 o'clock. It's time to go home," right? Seriously, unless you actually act on the thread, nothing's going to happen.
So you think that customers still have to show, not just tweet, but actually show real change in what they expect, and are willing to back it up and do things other than just talk about it on social media.
And I'm willing to eat my hat if they do, because the fact that they don't is the reason why organizations continue to deliver the same quality service over different channels without changing the way they do things.
As long as you don't eat your socks, I think you'll be okay.
I don't wear a hat. That's why I'm willing to wear my hat.
So we could sit here all day with you, Esteban, honestly, and I mean that as a compliment. Final point about your survey and about customer experience and companies that are doing it well. What does your survey tell you about the companies that are doing it well?
So there's 2 things that emerged in the last 2 years that are actually very, very interesting. Number 1 is ownership of customer experience. We began to operationalize customer experience. The ownership has moved from marketing, customer service, to operations, to COOs, even to IT in some cases. And this is actually good, because it means that we're actually doing something about it. That's one of the steps. People that are doing the best job are actually operationalizing customer experience versus just talking about it. And number 2 is customer experience, when done well, it's got to be left to the customer, not to the company to design and to deliver.
I think you were too nice to him today.
It was the socks.
You were.
It was the socks?
Yeah,
That's
you
what it
know.
was.
I'll send you a pair of socks for
I heard the
Christmas.
ambulance. I thought they were coming for you. I just want to get out the way.
Esteban, thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Esteban Kolsky at Thinkjar. You can find him there. Brent Leary, Butch Stearns, Volker Hildebrand is with us from SAP. You are watching the Customer Edge live from Times Square. It is a revolution, a CRM revolution. We're just making that statement now. We're back with more after this.